Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Biafra Superstars Media. Today, it's up in the air. People are saying that the damnable Zoo Republic, known as Zogeria, or what you want to refer to as Nigeria, is 64 years old. Well, as the saying goes, a fool at 40 is a fool forever. And a fool at 64, well, your guess is as good as mine. Today, this morning, this afternoon, tonight, I wish to present to you a very good friend, a man who was born during the time of the Biafran War, to make a masterpiece presentation about the damnable Zoo Republic. He's going to say it the way it is, from the perspective of those still living in that zoo called Nigeria. Without any much further ado, I present to you the Biafran golden child in his masterpiece presentation, which states Nigeria at 64 is still a potential country. If you understand the irony behind that title, you will get it. Without any much further ado, I present to you the Biafran golden child in his presentation, Nigeria at 64 is still a potential country. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're hearing my voice from. Yes, well, I'm super glad once again to have the opportunity to make this audio via the Biafra Superstar Media. I'm really happy once again to interact with our people, especially today, that is the eve of Nigeria's 64 years as a nation, as an independent nation. Yeah, so I hope you guys are warming up towards the celebration. Well, I wish you guys well. Yeah, first and foremost, before I begin this audio, I want to recount that several people have called me and said that I was a bit hard on, Alhaji Shetima, during my last audio. I mean, where I highlighted how he, insisted that Biafra was a mirage. Biafra was, a militant group. Biafra and the personalities involved were insurgents. And in the same breath was praising, eulogizing Palestine and Palestinians and calling for the independence of Palestine. Yes, sincerely, I owe no apologies to anybody because I felt a personality like the vice president should not, in one breath, be condemning a people's ambition, a people's culture, a people's experiences, such as powerful as the Civil War of 1967-70, the Biafra resurgence, and the hope that Biafra will not be consigned to the museum. And we felt bad that he was describing our able prime minister as a felony, as a man who was worse than Boko Haram. We felt Simon Ekpa didn't deserve any of that, and his evaluation of the Biafra movement was anything but, palatable to any of us. We felt he really went out of order and out of tune to describe the mandate of the Biafrans as something that was never to be given a breath of life. But in that same breath, he was calling for Palestinian liberations. Maybe because of, maybe because of religious bigotry. Maybe he had his reasons, I wouldn't know. But we thought we should call a spade and let him know that, yes, Biafrans are not a defeated people. They are not vassals. They are not second class citizens, and they deserve their respect and honor. And we felt, of course, that we should let him know that charity should begin at home and not from outside. And so we owe him no explanation. We owe him no apologies. We stand on what we, said and what we observed following his, itineraries and representation at the United Nations 79th General Assembly. Yeah, that's for that. Yeah, but we hope and we move forward, and we believe, of course, that the Finnish authorities would let reason prevail. Will follow the due process of law and recognize the rights and privilege of its citizens, including our dear Simon Ekpa. Thank you so much about that. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, for today's audio, I want to talk about this Nigeria at 64, and still regarded as a potential country. Nigeria 64, still regarded as a nation with potentials. And we want to look into that and find out why at 64, a person, a nation will still be regarded as a potential and, full of possibilities, but no action. That to me is quite ironical, but I guess we have to explore that topic now. So, while I wish Nigerians a very convivial celebration, I think we should reason into what has become the fate and the plight of Nigeria. At 64, still crawling. At 64, still an infant. At 64, still having potentials. At 64, moving without so many commotions, so many this thing without any. Okay, well, let's put it this way: so many locomotions, so many locomotions, really, and no movement. I guess that's the way we might want to just apply it. I mean, someone told me it's a case of for Nigeria 64. It's a case of 5 steps forward and 20 steps backwards. I don't know. I don't know. Well, let's get into it. Welcome on board. Yeah, we, several friends, several associates, we gathered at a recent function, and we just a week ago, and we were talking about what the 64th independence of Nigeria would look like. We were looking at it, with a view to saying what could have been, and we are going to, what is going to be. So we wanted to see where, you know, where and at what pace any help and this country was going. Yes, a lot of people said, well, at 64, we should give Nigeria a chance. It's still a toddler. It's still just coming up. I mean, it has potentials. Let's let it go. It will find its break. Other people said, 64, yes. Remember, Nigeria is not a man, it's not a human being, it's a nation. And there are certain, I mean, other countries in the world, even Americans that we tout as the heavens for democracy, Britain, France, Germany, all these countries that if their ages as when they got independence to this time centuries ago. And of course, we should not, you know, be so quick to judge Nigeria because Nigeria is still in an infantile stage. Yes, other people told us that, well, at 64, Nigeria has done giant strides. If for nothing else, it is maintaining the democracy. If for nothing else, rule of law still obtains. If for nothing else, it has kept the military in the barracks. If for nothing else, moving forward, at least people are still there. At least, a lot of people are celebrating no power outages. At least, no matter what it takes, Nigeria is still alive and kicking. Yes, another group told us, look, you should doff your hands for Nigeria. I mean, a lot of countries have crumbled. A lot of them have lived in almost total comatose. I mean, these are countries that almost were, completely annihilated. You know, somewhere like Rwanda, where the Houthis and of course, they told us that we should be glad Nigeria is still intact. That there are countries that are worse, where regionalism and all those things have religious warfare and all that has made the country ungovernable. So that we should be grateful. And Nigeria is intact, it's still okay, it's still moving. There's still hope. I think other people said, well, yes, Nigeria is still a toddler, is coming up, but we wish, all hands should be on deck so that we'll move it forward. So these are varying opinions. There's different strokes for different folks, you might say. I mean, everybody's looking at the Nigerian situation and bringing up their perspectives and perceptions. Yes, it reminds me of the six blind men of Hindustan. Hindustan is somewhere in India. I mean, these six blind men were taken to an elephant. The six blind men touched the elephant, and each of them had, when they were asked, "Can you describe what you feel or what you have just felt? Can you give us, an overview of what you think the elephant, I mean, this thing you are touching looks like?" Of course, the first blind man who touched the elephant by the legs, by the huge legs, you know, I mean, one of the back legs. He said, "Wow, this whatever I'm feeling here looks like a heavy. I mean, it's as big and as wide as a pillar. It was solid, massive. It's a pillar." I think whatever it is, I think the elephant, if you call it elephant, I think it's that's like a tree, a huge tree. Another one touched his ear. Blind man, what he felt was the ear. He said, "Wow, massive, massive. This is massive. Elephant, wow, the elephant must is either as massive as it's like a roof, it's as big as a house. It can cover a house." Another one touched his trunks, and of course, again talked about what it meant for him. Another one touched his talks, describe what it meant to him. And of course, at the end of the day, the six blind men of Hindustan had their own perception and perspective of what they thought the elephant looked like. Of course, when you put it as a holistic view, it became, well, a fair summation of what the elephant looked like. Because, of course, he talked about its gigantic size, he talked about its massive proportions and ramparts, and they talked about even the talks that was, so long and so heavy. So, of course, each of them had a faint idea of what the elephant was. But we are talking of elephant here, we're not talking of a nation. For Nigeria's situation, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking of a country that was amalgamated in 1914, a country that by 1960, 1st October 1960, got its independence. I mean, at that point of independence, the nationalists were celebrating. The champagnes were popped up because people felt it is finally our turn. People felt this is how it should be. People felt now is the time to move forward. We own our life. We have the yam. We have the knife. This time around, there's no going back. No more Jack, British Jack to look upon. No more British officer to, be subjugated to. No, this time is a Nigerian face. This time is a Nigerian flag. This time is everything Nigeria. And so everybody looked forward to a very rapid growth, to a great beginning. And with great expectations, they expected the country to blossom into high heavens. Yes, I don't think that ambition was untoward. I don't think believing that Nigeria I mean, 1st October 1960, would not grow far. Everybody had a right to believe that Nigeria was, I mean, our time had come. The time for growth was here because for the first time we'll be harnessing our agricultural resources. For the first time we'll be controlling our crew, our coal. For the first time we'll be, managing our oils, our crude oil. For the first time we'll be managing the general affairs of this country. The granite pyramids will be at our full control. I mean, cottons and all that, meant for use for textile industry will be fully utilized within Nigeria. And of course, we equally realize that our cash crops, the cocoa, the granite, everything that the palm oil. They are cash crops. These are things that we're going to export, and make so much money. Every money will come into the pocket of Nigeria. It was strictly made in Nigeria. It was strictly everything in Nigeria. So, of course, everybody had the right to have massive and great expectations and believe that, yes, finally, we've arrived. I mean, no more sending half of our money to the British Empire, no more kicking us in the ass, pardon my language, no more using the pounds as a medium of exchange. No, we had our own naira, our own naira. So, of course, our own CBN. Yes, our own central bank. Of course, we had our own Nigerian. Everything was going well, and so there was no reason for us to experience any undue palpitations. We felt we had gotten it right, and of course, you know, it called for celebration. And so our nationalists, Herbert Macaulay, Antonio Naharo, Mike, Chief Nnamdi, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, all the rest of them. Every place was agog. It was celebration galore. Hooray, hooray, hooray. Congratulations, Nigeria. Everybody echoed with every hope, with every assurance, with every expectation that in a short while, come a short while, we will be standing at par with the Great Britain that colonized us. We'll be standing at a par with USA, the United States of America. In fact, a lot of us expected, that we'll far outgrow some of these countries because, of course, they depended on our produce, on our, agricultural produce, on our mineral resources, on the things that we have there for their growth. For we felt, yes, we are going to surpass all of these people. And yes, in no short time, Nigeria will join the committee of, the highest nations, the first world nations, in the world. Yeah, but as time progressed, it began to dawn on Nigerians that it's as if we had concluded too early. It's as if we have expected so much. It's as if we were not properly prepared for this independence. It's as if we suddenly, like workmen who started a job, who started an assignment, and all of a sudden, in the middle of it, they seem to have forgotten what they were doing or what they wanted to achieve. I mean, what was the goal? What are we even doing all this for? Can anybody remind us? That's the story of Nigeria. I mean, this is a country that had intellectuals as its nationalists, highly traveled, highly educated, highly tested and trusted, men of timber and caliber, and they got independence. Of course, we remember that initially when Michael Nahru moved for this independence earlier than 1960, 1957 precisely, the Northerners came. They were highly agitated. They said they were not ready yet. We're not ready yet. No, 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 we're not ready. No, 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 we don't want to be independent yet. We're not ready for independence. No, give us some more time. We're not ready. So Mike and Nahru and co were like, why do these guys not want us to move forward? Why are they not ready? What could they offer that they have not already, we've not already seen in them? What kind of readiness do they want? And they were quite ready and willing to move on without them. Of course, Chief Nahru, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, the rest of them were willing and ready. But of course, it was the same Nnamdi Azikiwe, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, that cautioned his other Southeast and South and the Southern nationalists. He told them, no, 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 no. We should always encourage one Nigeria. We should always encourage a united Nigeria. No, if the North say they're not ready, let's give them some time. Let's give them some time. They say they're not ready. They want some more time, so that we can all, move together as a nation. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe said, it's not a competition. It's not a competition. Come on, guys. Let's wait for the dot. So, well, they had no choice. I said, okay, we'll wait for them. We'll wait for them. But little did most of them know that it was actually the British. It was the British that told the North. So listen, these people you are going to, the South is highly educated more than you. The South has all it takes. If you get this independence, if they take it at this stage, you will be a subservient people. They will put you in conditions of inferiority. You will never be able to compete with them. They will surpass all the necessary parastatals in every aspect of life and make your people more or less like they are, underlings. Don't do it. Don't agree yet. And if you'll agree, let them agree on your terms. You have the population, yes. Agree on your terms. You people are a calm people and we like you. The British were telling the Northerners, we like you. You were easy for us, to manage because already you had your, feudal system. You had your system where every level of authority was determined, especially everything came from the Sultan, the Emir, down to, the subordinates. But not in their case. Some of them didn't have chiefs. Some of them didn't have monarchs. We had to impose it on them and it didn't work. So please, you people that are in the north, this is your chance. Don't agree with them. Not later, hopefully. You tell them we are ready. We'll wait for you. And then you dictate your terms to them. And so when it came to 1st October 1960, of course, the North told the Southern nationalists, okay, we're ready. If you guys insist we get an independence, we're ready. But on one condition, that we will be the first to assume position of power. Did you hear me right? Yes, that was what it meant. Because the coalition between the NCNC and the Northern People's Congress, MPC, was what brought up the first, during the First Republic. They won the elections. They beat up the Action Group and others, headed by Chief Obafemi Awolowo. So Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, and the National People's Forum, Northern People's Congress was left to form a party, a ruling to take domination in the party. I mean, in the politics of that time, they were asked to form a government. And of course, the North insisted that they must, since Nigeria was practicing a parliamentary system, that they wanted to be filled the numero uno, the number one. They wanted to be the one to produce the most powerful person in government. Of course, Nnamdi Azikiwe, in his usual characteristics way, an educated man who was looking towards a united Nigeria, who was even above that looking into a united Africa. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe was mentored by Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, who, as an American, enlightened Ghanaian personality, was looking towards what he saw in America. I mean, where he saw United States of America, not countries in America. And so he infused in his mentees or people he mentored that let's look forward to where Africa, the whole of Africa, can form states. All African countries will be like a state, and then we form a United States of Africa. And so Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe was duly tutelized by this man. He was duly mentored by this man, and he equally embraced the idea that a United States of Africa would achieve much more than individual countries in Africa. And so when the northern elements told him, look, sir, this is the condition to form this government. I mean, the two parties have joined together, but we must produce the most superior person in authority. Zeke acquiesced to them. He concurred, and that was how Alhaji Tafawa Balewa became the first Prime Minister of Nigeria, a mere school teacher and all that. Of course, that is because the British authorities have sufficiently, enlightened the northern region to, play active role to make sure nobody, surpasses them or in any way bamboozles them. They told the North, you must at all time grab it, take the power. And this equally became a sort of mantra for the northern political leaders who at every point in time felt uh, Nigeria was theirs, the authority was theirs. They were born to rule like the Fulani people would always insist. You know. So that was it. When Tafa Balewa entered there, he became the prime minister. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe became his ceremonial president. Of course, they went on and on. But Nigerians observed, not quite too long into that first republic, not long towards into that first experience of prime ministership, even though it's a regional government with prime ministership, parliamentary kind of government, where they realized that suddenly the politicians were now assuming the toga of power, the toga of everything that had to do with power and responsibilities, just like the British. A lot of people realized that our politicians began to live, like the colonialists that they were just foisted out of the nation. And most of them were aloof. They were no longer interested in what was the general perspectives and aspirations of the generality of the citizenry. What they now felt was it's me, myself, and I. It became a case of self-aggrandizement, it became a case of squandermanism, it became a case of nepotism, and this was very, very rampant during the First Republic. It went on and on. People were living as though, they were above the law. People lived and acted as if nothing could stop them. And Nigerians wallowed in poverty. Nigerians became very aggrieved because they didn't see the independence they anticipated. They didn't see what this independence could give to them. All their hopes for a rapid accelerated growth and development in the country was suddenly a mere mirage. They saw politicians living far above even the British authorities. They wielded so much power, they so much influence, and they had access to a lot of money, and they just lived like vagrant monarchs and emperors. And so, of course, sadly, 1966, unfortunately, June 1966, the military struck. The military struck. And wow, that was it. That was how the First Republic was torpedoed. Politicians, majority of them deleted, some arrested, some detained, some imprisoned. Of course, the First Republic died a natural death with a lot of consequences, with severe consequences to the Nigerian country as a whole. Yeah, after that coup, of course, a new government was installed. It was now a military regime headed by Aguiyi. Of course, this one again, as soon as it was there, the aftermath of the 1966 coup came in. Of course, there was a lot of, you know, uh, accusations and counter accusations of who and who were perpetrators of this coup, who and who should have been killed, who and who were not killed, who and who should have been dealt with, who and who were not dealt with, who and who stood to benefit from the coup, who and who did not benefit. And so all this kind of, undue altercations, undue suspicions, and unfortunate dimensions brought about the issues that emanated in 1966, forcing a sort of a deliberate attempt to frustrate and annihilate the Igbos, who were suspected to have been the ones who engendered and orchestrated that coup. The North went on rampage, and every Igbo man who was in the North was a suspect. They were chased away, they were marauded, they were dealt with, they were maimed, they were bombed, they were attacked, their properties and everything. It was a mayhem. It was a horrendous experience for the Igbos, and they ran. They ran for their life because unfortunately nobody could do anything for them. Shortly, Aguirre's government was toppled, and of course brought General Yakubu Gowon, another military man. So all in all, of course, not too long we entered the issues of the Nigerian Civil War, which we all know. There's no need going into undue narratives about it. But of course, we know what happened. The Southeast, the Biafrans, were eventually forced to look for independence, look for safety and security of their lives and properties, and demand for their own government. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, and Gowon stayed. And of course, several years after, of course, the Igbos were brought back into the government, and Nigeria state moved as a whole. After the Gowon administration, it was the Moritala man that took over when Gowon was, when there was a coup. Eventually, Maurice Kala was assassinated. It was General Olusegun Obasanjo who wept and wept that he dare not step into the shoes of his superior officer, Muritala Mohammed. But of course, the Obasanjo was there. It was through Obasanjo that the Second Republic was midwife again. I mean, this time around, it was Alhaji Shehu Shagari, who of the MPN, who won, and uh, Dr. Alex Ekweme became his vice president once again. Of course, the uh, heavy political, I mean, nationalists then, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe also contested, but of course, they didn't win the election favored Alhaji Shehu Shagari of the MPN. Of course, that same Second Republic started again. This time it was a presidential system of government, and it went on and on. But alas, the same politicians again started, living lives as if they didn't know there was yesterday. Of course, they acted like they didn't know what happened yesterday. They were all as if it has been a continuous jamboree. As if, of course, once again, it was business as usual. As usual. Yes, the Shehu Shagari administration, the bunch of politicians became even worse than the First Republic politicians. Of course, everybody was interested in how to, amass all the wealth they could. There was massive corruption. There was condemnism. There was nepotism. There was a general lost leadership. There was more like a clueless leadership too. And of course, the majority of Nigerians started suffering again. There was crass sort of madness in office. I mean, with every politician trying to undo the order, corruption reached its highest peaks. I mean, Nigeria once again was foisted with people who had no reason, to be in government. And so the military struck again. The military struck again. This time, General Muhammadu Buhari and Idi Agbo came on, brought their warfare discipline, tried to make things their own way. How they did it, of course, they wanted to instill sanity in Nigeria. Of course, once again, another coup came because people felt these people were too draconian, these people were too rigid, these people, it's not about independence. I mean, in discipline, we also have to move on. Nigeria cannot be isolated from the outside world. Yeah, we need to have some dynamism. We need to have some creativity. And of course, another coup came, this time led by General Sani Abacha, and the Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida government took over. His government lasted another 8 years. In a bid to do a third term, he didn't succeed. I mean, Babangida wanted to be a live president. He couldn't succeed. Eventually, he created an election opportunity, another move to civil rule that produced an incomplete result. But we saw Chief Mko Abiola of the SDP, uh, and his vice president, Babagana Kingibe, claiming, having won the election. That was umpired by Professor Humphrey Wonsu. Then, of course, that election was annulled by President Ibrahim Babangida, citing a lot of reasons, including rigging and all that, And unfortunately, Abiola insisted it was his mandate. But of course, the government said no, that he was not going to be the president of this country. And of course, Babangida willingly or unwillingly, you know, uh, stepped aside. That was his language. He stepped aside and foisted an interim national government headed by Shoneko, NS Shoneko. Of course, that one didn't even last a year because Baba Sani Abacha, who was already restive and looking towards his own government, quickly assumed power, had a coup, and calmed down, ousted NS Shoneko, and took over the reins of power. Of course, a lot of people, well, everybody knows what happened during the Abacha time. Of course, a lot of people still claim that anyhow, no matter how, whatever he represented, but he kept the Nigerian naira at par, very close and at par with the dollar and all that. But of course, after several years, um, Abacha eventually succumbed to death, unfortunately. And the man who claimed he won the mandate, Ebuka Obi, also died. And in that gesture again, another head of state, military head of state, Abdul Salam, came in. It was this Abdul Salam who eventually, created the leeway for another presidential elections. This time, that was won by now General Olusegun Obasanjo, who became President Olusegun Obasanjo, and so on and so forth. But generally, in this narrative, of course, after Obasanjo, it came down to Yaradua. After Yaradua died in the office. May his soul rest in peace. It got down to Jonathan, because of course the militants in the southeast, south had started to clamor and to protest about the degradation of their lands, the degradation of the environment where the oil that fueled Nigeria's economy was coming from, and yet they were highly marginalized. And so they made the country ungovernable, made economics, very difficult to continue, so that somehow, President Jonathan was given, the mandate to take over from Yaradua, despite the protestations of the Hausas and all that. But he became the president. And so for the first time in a very long while, somebody from the South became a president. But this was not to be more than one tenure, because of course, the way the whole thing was going once again, there was another election, and somehow, uh, General Buhari, Muhammadu Buhari, came again as a civilian president. He now equally achieved what General Olusegun Obasanjo, who became a president, civilian president, Buhari equaled that same narrative. So he became President Buhari became the president of this country. And of course, for several years, another 8 years, Nigeria was in a state of storm and stress. Nigeria was in a state of epileptic and constant, fall and rise and fall, until this final election that brought in the elections of 23rd February 2023, that foisted on the man who said, "It is my turn, a Milocon." Nigerians, brace up, it is my turn. And somehow, he actually insisted, and he got it. He got it, yes. He won it, yes. He got it. He got it and became the president of this country, President Ahmed Bola Tinubu. And as soon as he came in, of course, during the time of the electioneering campaigns, he has told Nigerians, listen, my CV is very loud. My CV is very loud. Apart from having been a governor of Lagos State for 8 years, I've been a senator for several, terms. And there's nothing I don't know. I know how to move this country forward. Even apart from that, under harsh military regimes, I've been a Democrat, I've been a freedom fighter, I've championed every protest, I've been involved in Radio Kudirat, I've been involved when Ebuka Obi was fighting for his mandate, I've been involved in June 12 Brohaha, I've been involved in everything. And so I'm coming into Nigeria, with my foot down and running. So expect the best. That was what the gentleman who they called the Jagaban, who said it was my turn, told Nigerians. And of course, when he got the mandate, the very first day he got the mandate, he told Nigerians, "Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm here now. It is my turn. And I want to let you know subsidy is removed." So he removed the oil subsidy. In all of this, eventually this government took over, and people had expected so much, believing that, well, this man who said he wanted to hit the ground running, who said he's been there all the time, who manifested, highlighted so much CVs, powerful positions, powerful experiences, and they expected that for once Nigeria will have it good. This would not be the same old story. This would not be the same old vibes, and everybody was looking forward to not just a new beginning, to a massive developmental, beginning. They felt Nigeria would finally stand up from the crowd. Nigeria would finally stand up from the crowd and raise its head in the Committee of Nations. Once again, they hoped Nigeria, that had always touted itself to be giant of Africa, it would really stand up and act like a giant for the first time. Fortunately, this administration, since inception, you know, uh, in on May 29th, 2023, to date, has, in, well, I don't want to use, well, let me be very plain here. The government has totally kept Nigeria in a state of semi-suicide, in a state of comatose, because, of course, every policy, every economic practice, every uh, every situational arrangements that this government has made, every positional appointment, every activity seems to have a contrary effect, because for the first time in the history of this country, the Nigerian citizens have never had it so bad. There was massive starvation in the land. Food was nowhere to be found because of insufficient security that got to the highest level. The fuel situation became even worse following his so-called oil, subsidy removal. The prices of petroleum products got so high. Normal PMS above the reach of people, kerosene, cooking gas. Nigerians have never had it so rough, to the extent that there have been massive protests for the first time in this country. Protest hashtag hardship and and difficulties and insecurity in this land have become the bane and major reasons for protest. People are lamenting they've never had it so bad. There's no sanctuary for the poor man. There's no sanctuary, no palliatives, despite what the government keep promising on a daily basis. Huge trillions of money being set aside as palliatives to salvage the condition of the poor man. It never gets to them, has never gotten to them, and may never get to them. So people have cried all manners of tears because of this kind of government that has never in the history of this country, ever been anticipated. And so Nigeria 64 is a country that has left a lot of bad taste in the mouth. People who talk about Nigeria, when they sit down and talk about Nigeria, they have confirmed and confessed that they bring bad taste to the mouth. And because, of course, this is a country that has no reason not to succeed. This is a country that has everything at its disposal. We have the human resources, we have the natural resources, we have every manner of natural endowments, good weather, clement weather. We have a calm polity. We have a population that is ever ready. Who are genuinely and peacefully oriented. Nigerian citizens have been touted all over the world to be very resilient people who are calm, cool, collected, people who gives everybody a chance to prove themselves or otherwise. And so this government has no reason whatsoever. Nigeria has no reason whatsoever not to have grown, not to have developed, not to have increased in leaps and bounds like other, great countries of the world. Everybody believes, all commentators on the situation of Nigeria say Nigeria does have no reason to remain a third world country. Nigeria has no reason to continue to be such a poor nation because we have all it takes. We should have moved with these countries, these Asian tigers who have moved from just normal countries to leadership positions in the world. Look at China, look at Japan, look at Dubai. A country like Dubai that came a few years ago, just a few years ago, and were begging for money from Nigeria, was begging for help and resources from Nigeria. Dubai, United Arab Emirates, has gone super, super high. I mean, a lot of people are wondering, what is it about Nigeria? What is it about this country that keeps us in a condition like this? Every day, 10 steps forward, 50 steps backwards. Every day, we are not fighting for ordinary light. We have not gotten even our electricity right, our energy right. Nigeria, at this 64 years, people are still celebrating that they saw a flicker of light. I mean, Nigeria can still not boast of pipe on water, clean water to drink. Nigeria has crude oil. Nigeria has to export its crude oil to be refined overseas before you bring it back, import it back, and then sell to its citizens at exorbitant prices. Meanwhile, we have 4 refineries in this country. And in recent times, some few ones have been constructed. Even now, with that of Dangote refineries, the country is still having epileptic fuel supply. They are still finding it difficult to refine their country, their oil in Nigeria, the crude oil. They are still resorting overseas. I mean, stories are flying here and there telling us how some powerful politicians, including those at the helm of affairs, have private refineries outside the world. I mean, outside this country, some in Malta, some in different parts of the world. They take our crude to those places, they refine them, they bring it back and sell to us at highly exorbitant prices, making gains all over their citizens and over their country. I mean, this is the first time, I mean, a country of 64 years, some citizens are richer than the country. Yes, people have embezzled money, not in millions anymore, not in billions anymore. People are now embezzling money in trillions. Trillions, not even in Naira alone, even in foreign currencies. People are embezzling money in trillions, in dollars, in pound sterling, in Japanese yen. It's just unthinkable. The level of corruption in this country has gone beyond imagination. I mean, when the former British Prime Minister described Nigeria as fantastically corrupt, I think he didn't see it coming this way. He never imagined it would be as high as this because this level is beyond any description. And so the country is in a comatose position. This is what Nigeria has found itself at 64. This is what we are celebrating at 64. This is what this administration is celebrating at 64. Already it has declared tomorrow, the 1st of October, as a public holiday, that Nigerians should sit down and thank God for the journey so far. You know, we should celebrate it. I mean, it's not easy. This is 64. We are still there. We're still going forward. Where there's life, there's hope. We're still there. We're still together. You know, but I don't know. I don't think still being together is an achievement. I don't think that because we're still alive is an achievement. What is an achievement when you look at the indices of economic development in your country? When you look at the per capita income in your country? When you look at the general condition of your citizen? When you look at your educational sector and it is booming and the educational learning and teaching are going smoothly? When you look at the medical sector and everything is in place, people don't have to be running helter-skelter because of medical needs. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Even our so-called leaders, those are the helm of affairs, every other 2 days, every other fortnight, they are outside this country. If they are not junketing to France, they are moving to London. They are moving to Germany. They are going for medical checkups. Every other time, they have them and their families. They move their families. They move their everything about them for medical checkups. So of course, the medical system in Nigeria is comatose. Every other day, our lawyers, our doctors are jabbering to overseas to assume positions in medical facilities there. Everybody's leaving this country, and so medically, Nigeria is in a state of terrible, terrible situation. Medically, our doctors are leaving this country, and in a short while, we may be bereft of any form of medical attentions. Of course, the more touted new medical, up-to-date medical hospitals they built with equipment are mere mirage. It only exists in the contractual documents and videos they show us. It's not a reality. Nothing like that exists. Most of those monies have been siphoned away. What of the oil sector? The oil that forms the bedrock of the Nigerian economy. What is his story? Every other day is a story of shame, a story of pain, a story of damages, a story of the disclaim and betrayals. Today, if they are not, even when we thought Dangote would come in as a private refinery and correct the ills we have experienced in NMPC, the sleaze in the NMPC, even the Dangote refinery, every other day, the MD of Dangote refinery has always come out to complain of, undue harassment, machinations, untoward machinations of NMPC, interferences from oil cabals and government's, proliferation of government policies that will hinder, and even completely erode any performances from them at Dangote refinery. So it's as if even that refinery is DOA, is death on arrival, except Nigerians started crying out, except the whole world started asking questions. So it's a big shame. At 64, people said Nigeria it has potentials, but what kind of potentials will you have at 64 when others are moving, others are running, you are still crawling? I mean, your mates have stood up, they are running, you're still crawling, and you say you have potential. Nobody wishes that on his own child. Nobody wishes that on his offspring. That at 64, your child still has potentials. He's still crawling. He's still learning to walk. I mean, it's a very sad commentary. It's a very sad commentary. And so, for the purpose of Nigeria's independence tomorrow, I think the director of Nigerians should actually sit down and ask themselves salient questions. Ask your leaders questions. What is leadership? Why did you want to be a leader? Just for the fun of it, or because you have amassed so much money, you now need a power behind your money? Because we can't understand why people who said it is my turn, people who said I'm ready, I'm hit the ground running, people who said we'll put round pegs in round holes, people who said I have it all. I know the people we're going to put there. I know the people who do the magic. I have people who can do everything and anything to make this country move forward. I have it on my own part. I'm going to make sure nothing inhibits, nothing by any means will thwart our progress. And so that's where we are. Promises, explanations, every other day, but none is a reality. None is a reality. The slaves in the country is beyond human imagination. There are politicians, ex-governors, head of parastatals who have embezzled so much money. The EFCC is looking for them. We are talking of trillions here, trillions in foreign currency, trillions in naira, trillions in foreign currencies. And the EFCC has declared them wanted. And we're here now and then. They come here, they are there, they are not there. We've caught them, we've not caught them. They've reported, they've not reported. I mean, it's a general lackluster administration in every ramification. Insurgents, militants, Boko Haram. These people have created so much devastation for this country. Year in, year out, back to back, Boko Haram has been on for over 30 years now. And successive governments have always told us we are at it. We are at it. Breakthrough is coming. Yes, our intelligence are on it. We are going to destroy all them. We'll get them. We'll break them to their knees. We are going to put them on their knees. And this is what we hear every day. And yet these guys are creating, more and more devastation for the communities, more and more destruction to the communities. They are kidnapping, they are maiming, they are deleting, they are doing all sort of acrimonious behavior. And yet the government say we're on top of the game. Our intelligence concerns are, on top of it all. It's just a shame, really. I don't know. So Nigeria at 64, what are we expecting? What is the hope? Already the youths have come again to say, look, we are going to protest this time. We are going to do a fearless in October because, of course, we've discovered that nothing has gone right. Despite the warning protest, the hashtag and the hardship bad governance protest of 1st August to 10th August, we've not seen any results. We gave them a chance. We let them know our portfolio, what we wanted, how we wanted things to be done so that we can move with this government. But up to now, none of these issues have been addressed. And so the youths are saying this October, there will be fearless in October. We would do everything we take to let the government know that it's not business as usual, you know. And I begin to wonder, what is wrong with our politicians? Is it that they don't know the history of this country? They didn't know the issues, the different governments that have, or administrations that have ruled this country in the past, that have held this country in the past, and what happened to them? Is our leadership, our politicians, are they unaware, or is it just that they don't care? Do they not know their history and the history of this country? Do not know the objectives or remember the objectives and hopes and aspirations that Nigeria had at the 1st October 1960 independence celebration? What was the hope of the black man? Not just Nigerians, even the whole world celebrated with Nigeria. Because for the first time, everybody looked towards this country and said, look, this highly populated country, this giant of Africa, this black, I mean, like, Nigeria was like more or less the highest, most populated black country in the world. And everybody looked forward to it, to come out and achieve and stand out. I mean, we had the educated class, we had the population, we had the men in all manners of life endeavor. You know, we have produced the best brains in sciences, we've produced the best brains in medicine, we produce articulate lawyers and intellectuals. I mean, from all walks and climb. And yet, Nigeria is still struggling. Nigeria is still, you know, suffering epileptic, movement. 5 step forward, 15 step backwards. I mean, where are we headed? What is the hope of the Nigeria we see today? What is the hope of the black people in Nigeria? What is the hope of Nigeria as a country? Okay, the government has declared tomorrow, 1st October, as a day of celebration to mark this independence. What are we celebrating? Every year, billions are spent on celebration. By the time we are done now, they tell you they spend billions to mark this celebration. People stay at home. There was march past. We remember the fallen heroes. We did this, we did that. And billions would have gone down the drain. What are we celebrating? 64 years of broken dream, 64 years of mismanagement, 64 years of clueless administration, 64 years of 2 steps forward, 10 steps backwards, 64 years of insurgency, 64 years of no refinery, no functional refinery, of exporting crude oil, importing refined products, selling to our people again at high exorbitant prices. What are we celebrating? Is it the schools that are always on strike and another strike? Schools that the roofs, the hostels have collapsed? Schools that the lecturers are crying? Already the ASU is threatening strike. Is it a medical situation where the Nigerian Medical Association is threatening? One of their members has been kidnapped since and nothing has been done about it. And of course, they're looking at the general wealth of doctors that has made a lot of them japa to other countries. Where are we celebrating? What part of Nigeria are we celebrating? What aspect of Nigeria are we celebrating? Is it religious bigotry? But up till now, we're talking religion. And yet, Nigeria is one of the most corrupted countries in the world. These are personalities who belong to one religious organization or another. I mean, I've not seen any leader in this country or any administration that you say, how do you want to swear? How do you want to take your oath? And he says, I don't have any religion. No, it's either they are using the Quran, they are using the Bible, or they are using Ifa, God of Iron, to swear. So all of them belong to a religion. And yet, and yet, after taking such oaths, the next thing they turn is looking for how to steal, how to, uh, amass ill-gotten wealth from this country. Nigerian leaders are no longer thinking of themselves. They are thinking of 10 generations yet unborn. Because what are you going to do with trillions of dollars, trillions of pounds, trillions of... what are you doing buying houses overseas? Recently, a lot of videos are going viral where we are shown houses in UAE, houses in London, houses in choice areas of the world, in the Caribbean islands, in choice areas that our leaders have gone and spent ill-gotten money that run into billions. You are buying vast estates. You're vying high-rise buildings here and there, and you cannot live in one place at any point in time. Who are you buying these things for? All this money you are amassing, what are you going to do with them? And it's still a continuous thing. The politicians are trying to undo each other, who to amass more money, who to buy more properties outside, who to embezzle, who will buy the most modern private jet, the yachts, the bulletproofs. I think very soon they will look for a way to, maybe who will make themselves live to be 300 years. Maybe that's what the politicians are working. That's why they're packing so much money, trillions. I don't know what else to say. It's a sad one. And so Nigeria 64, they have their country. I love you, Nigeria, but unfortunately, there's nothing to celebrate. There's nothing to recommend Nigeria for any celebration at all. We have not moved forward. We are lagging behind. There's no hope for us except these leaders have a new change of heart, except there's a new orientation, except there's a determination to stop all this. Until our leadership become intentional in their activities, in their actions, we are not going anywhere. Until we have men who are ready to serve, not because they want to amass money, but because they know they have something to give, Nigeria will not move forward. It's a celebration, 64th national anniversary of this country, 64 years of independence. Nothing to celebrate. Nothing to celebrate. It's a sad one, really, and it brings tears to the eyes of Nigerians. I look at a lot of people, both the old, the not too old, the young, and the toddlers. Everybody's looking at this country with eyes filled with tears, with broken hearts. Broken hearts because, of course, this was never the imagination, this was never the expectations, this was never the dreams of our nationalist leaders. I'm sure anywhere they are in their graves, they are turning in their graves. They are turning in their graves. They are shedding tears wherever they are. They look at the Nigeria. They are bequeathed to this lawless, this ungrateful, this unclueless set of people who call themselves leaders. These people whose only interest is how to amass, and continue to amass money. May God help this country. May God help this country. May God help Nigeria. It's a shame, a real shame. Really shame. What are we celebrating at 64? Well, let's let it go. It's up to Nigeria to get it right. As for me and my like, and my fellow freedom thinkers, and our Biafrans, we're looking forward, as I keep saying, to 2nd December 2024, when the United States of Biafra will be fully inaugurated. And maybe that is when we can heave a sigh of relief, because we are sure everything happening in Nigeria now, Biafra would never be part of it. We will not, there will be zero tolerance for corruption, for all this kind of, behaviors that are taking us nowhere. It's a shame. It's a shame, really. I don't think there's anything to celebrate at 64. God save Nigeria, and God bless the United States of Biafra. Thank you all. God bless you.
Yeah, check me out. Superstars Media. Lord Lugard, Bloomington, Lord Lugard, and it's wild Flora show. 1914 amalgamation is what we dying for. 3 nations to 1 nation, ever since annihilation. Nepotism is nonsense. You and you, clap your hands. Biafra gonna come, clap your hands. Biafra, Oduduwa, we're free now. Freedom is gonna come, we're free now. Yeah.